Welcome back to RC Pilot Hangar. I've got a treat today. I've got Tommy Meyer here with me, and we're going to kind of talk about how he got into flying this beautiful plane in the back that he actually built. So, and it all started, he was doing RC pilot stuff in the very beginning. So give me a little bit of the history when you first started getting into this.
Well, Mike, I really didn't start with RC.
Okay.
I started with what they call free flight.
Okay.
And my dad was a free flight champion way back in the 20s and 30s and flew against Goldberg. So as I grew up, I started in free flight, and it was high pilot free flight.
Okay.
When free flight goes up, and you have to set the airplane up so it gets as much time in the air as possible, then it thermalizes and comes down. And naturally, as a young man, you chase it. And then as that happened, my dad decided that when Gello kits came out,
Okay.
with all the old World War I airplanes, the Spads, the Newports, the SE-5s, that with the old Thimbledrome red head O-20s, we built every one of them, and every one of them flew free flight, and they all flew really good. So
how old were you when you first started doing this? Do you remember?
I was in junior. I was in junior class with the AMA, and it was the same time Dad was working on Little Toot.
Okay.
So you know, it's really hard to do both hobbies. I helped him on building Little Toot, and we did the free flight, really free flight scale.
Oh, amazing.
And I remember having to go on Saturday morning to go in and wake my dad up real early in the morning, because we lived in Corpus Christi, and the wind blows down there about like the wind's blowing here now all the time.
So Tommy, so how did you progress into getting into flying RC planes as well?
Well, I built a loaning amphibian that I won the Nationals with in 4 times, and met the America's first aeronautical engineer with a loaning amphibian. And
what scale was this plane? Do you remember
Scale was 1 inch to the foot.
Okay.
So it was a 48-inch wingspan.
Okay, okay.
And so, in fact, I'm building a quarter scale of it, which is 12 foot. Dad got into RC, and I'll tell you what, I got into RC in Pensacola, Florida, and it started with escapements.
Oh, okay.
Where
yes.
you wound up the rubber band and the transmitter. I still have the transmitter. 1 for right, two for left.
That's right.
And it was a wonderful thing. I mean, I could do spins and roll the airplane with just knowing what to do with your fingers. And then I remember working in the Bobby Hobby Shop in Pensacola, Florida for $5 a Saturday. Saved my money for a CG 8-channel with, it was blip.
Wow.
You know, you had you had engine, aileron, rudder, and it was all blip, where you blip the sticks over. And then even before that, there was pulse.
That's
and we
right.
had what we called a pulse actuator that sit there and move the rudder back and forth, and as you move the stick, the rudder would pulse to the left or to the right, and all that was just rudder only, no engine control, and we still could spin them and loop them and roll them if we knew how to get the proper speed.
Were these all kits that you had back then, or were they like scratch build, or?
Mostly all scratch built.
Wow.
Yeah, my dad was a fantastic builder. I mean, we ordered plans from Aero Modeler in England, and we built off of plans.
Now your dad was actually building full-scale planes as well at the time, correct?
He was building Little Toot. And the actual Little Toot biplane was finished in 1956 and flew first February of 57, actually.
Okay.
So, but you know, between the big airplane and models, my dad and I did most. We lost models, which was a real killer. I mean, in Corpus Christi, there's so much grain planted. You know, airplane go down in a grain field, you can hardly find it. You know.
Wow.
And so we lost some really nice models to a dadgum machine probably ate it when it picked it up.
So how did you, did you learn to fly the airplane from your dad, or full-size airplane from your dad to?
Well, actually, there was, when Little Toot was first flown, there was a lady at Cudahy Field in Corpus Christi that really put her arm around me and told my dad that when this boy's 16 years old, I'm going to teach him to fly.
Oh, wow.
And so we moved off to Pensacola, but she would call my dad and said, listen, I told you I was going to teach that boy how to fly. You send him down here when he's out of high school and spend the summer down here. And of course, we just finished the loaning amphibian and going to Corpus Christi, learning how to fly, and Dad bringing the loaning down there, and then coming up here to Dallas to fly in the National Model Airplane Championship here in Dallas. I learned to fly and won the first Nationals. And by the way, a lot of people know who Burt Rutan is.
Okay.
Most people don't know Tommy Meyer. But I beat Burt Rutan in the 1960 Nationals.
Oh my gosh.
With my loaning amphibian, and I beat him by 7/10 of a point. Of course, Burt Rutan, you know, is the designer and builder of Spaceship One and all the fiberglass very easies, and
wow.
he's a very successful.
And you beat him.
I beat him when he was a young man. I didn't beat him when he was a superhero. But yeah, 1960 Nationals. That was quite an event.
Wow.
And if you want to know a little bit about how an airplane is scored, you build an airplane like the loaning amphibian. Most people wouldn't even launch that airplane today, and because it's so full of scale, all the scale points and wire wheels and the whole bit. So you're judged on scale appearance first, and then you're judged on flight. So it has to do both. So flight, I think there's 30 points for takeoff, 30 points for landing, and 40 points for flight, true to flight characteristics. And lo and behold, I decided that I would let the airplane take off by itself. Well, you know what happens, Mike. When you got an airplane on the ground, you got torque and everything, and the airplane just made circles on the ground. And so I ran over and grabbed it and pointed it the right direction again, and my dad's going, no, no, and it did the same thing. So there's 2 attempts. You get 4 attempts to make one official flight of 40 seconds.
Wow.
Put ourselves up for flight for the second one, and I went and launched it, and I threw it too hard. The airplane went up and stalled and hit the ground. Of course, it's all built to come apart, but a few things broke on it, and we had to go back and fix it. And my dad gave me one of those father and son talks. He says, Tommy, you got one more chance. You've blown 3 now. And he says, you take that airplane out and get it, put it into the wind, and you run with it until you feel that airplane lifting, and then you just set it in the wind. See, we only had 1 test flight on that airplane, just 1 test flight, and it flew absolutely flawless.
So let's get back to you actually flying the full-scale airplanes. So when you started, that was probably in the late 60s when you probably started flying the full-scale?
I flew Little Toot. Well, I learned to fly when I was 16.
Okay.
And
we're going to age them here. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm 78 years old.
Okay.
So I don't care. I learned to fly when I was 16, and I learned to fly Little Toot. I actually flew Little Toot when I was 21 years old.
Okay. Wow.
And still, at 16, I ended up going in the service and all this stuff, and I never got my pilot's license. So I flew Little Toot on my student pilot's license before I actually got my real pilot's license.
Okay. So this plane behind us is called the Big Toot because it's a 2-seater.
Two-place.
Yeah. Is it bigger in scale everywhere else compared to the original?
Yeah, it's 18 inches longer on each wing. So each wing is 3 foot longer. Fuselage is another 3 feet longer to accommodate the.
And how long have you been working on it? You told me a little bit.
Oh my gosh!
So
when my dad was dying, he just requested that I continue on with my models, but it would he would be so happy if I'd build this airplane.
Okay. Wow.
And so, you know, quickly I said, yeah, sure, I'll do it. Well, first of all, I didn't have the pay grade to build it, so it took me 20 years
Wow.
of gathering these projects, and I've done 17 airplanes. I've only built one. That's this one.
That's this one. Wow.
So I restored little Toots, and you know, and made changes and learned what to do and what not to do, and I made a lot of mistakes, and I had a lot of people helping me. You know, I had a partner named Phil Witt and Gary Plattner. They helped me so much. And
such a beautiful plane, Tommy.
yeah,
That is just
and so, you know, one guy can't do this.
right.
You have to know people, just like what we did a while ago.
He was
Yeah.
building some of this in his home. One time I gone to his place and it was in parts on a table. So,
Well, when you build something like this, you know, people say, how do you know where to start? Well, you know, as a draftsman for Mobile Oil Corporation, you know, I went from hand drafting to computer drafting, and naturally I have an AutoCAD system at home, so I've drawn every part of this airplane, and I've been interviewed by a lot of people, and I've told them I built 2 of these, and then they ask where the other one is, and I said it went in the trash can.
huh.
So there's one in the trash can and one sitting here.
Wow.
And to say that every part that I built for this airplane was perfect, it was not at first. And so as I built the part, it may take me 4 hours to make this part. And then after I make the part, I go, oh, no, that's not going to work.
Right.
Go back to the drawing board and make some corrections, go out and build the whole thing in 30 minutes. So, but the second time you build it, it becomes a much better part, and you get to see exactly how things are working. Like that canopy you saw me close.
Yeah.
That was an engineering feat
Wow.
for that canopy to slide all the way back and open and all that for 2 people to get in.
So how many flights do you think you have on this now? Since I seen it on your table, so I would assume
we have I say we because I include all the people that helped me. The airplane's got 67 hours on it.
Wow.
It's literally brand new.
wow.
Flew it to Oshkosh, and I didn't fly it. Joe Flood flew it to Oshkosh in 2019 and won the Lindbergh Award with
Oh,
it.
fantastic.
And it's an Oscar about this big.
Wow.
And so now I have 2 Oscars that I won, one with the other little Toot and one with this Toot, and I have 2 daughters, Sandy and Carrie, and each one of them will receive an Oscar of Lindbergh someday when I'm gone.
So where's the original one that your dad actually finished and you got to fly when you were 21?
Still fly it.
Still flies. Wow.
It's out at Valley View Airport. In fact, a friend of mine, Russell Keith's going to pick it up tomorrow morning and take it over to Donuts and Coffee at a fly-in over in Denton.
Okay.
And unfortunately, fortunately, I'll be in church Saturday
you.
morning. I shouldn't say unfortunately.
So since you've got this accomplished, you're still an RC pilot, getting back to RC flying. So
yeah.
you're still building RC planes? Is that
yeah.
something you continue to do?
Yeah, I'm building a half-scale model of my dad's airplane.
Oh my gosh, wow.
And I'm building it in conjunction with a Dr. Henry Vellis in New York, who is also a modeler. And Henry's got a plethora of NC machines, and been up to see him several times, and we're doing this half-scale little Toot together.
So what size motor is this going to have? Half scale is still going to be pretty
have
big.
a DLE 222, which is right at 20 horse, 4-cylinder,
Wow.
20 horse, swing about a 3-foot prop.
Wow.
So-
I can't wait to see that. That's going to be awesome to see that.
You know, I showed you a little bit of it a while ago.
Sure.
It's a long-time project. We're working right now on this canopy that Little Toot has, and the canopy is probably this long.
Wow.
So I sculptured the mold for the canopy, sent it up to him, and he's taken it to some friends of his that do plastic work to have the plexiglass canopy blown and pulled over the mold.
So I would assume you're going to continue doing this type of stuff till you can't do it anymore. I'm thinking that this is just your passion for your whole life.
It's my whole life.
Yeah.
And I owe it all to my dad, and he taught me everything I know. And when we've gone to air shows and stuff and won awards and stuff, we always have a big party out here, and there's a banner that we put up that says George would be proud.
Wow.
This second airplane I'm building right now, models and big, I'm talking about a big airplane, big little Toot. I'm building it in memory of a guy by the name of Arlo Schroeder, who built the first little Toot off my dad's plans. And by the way, I drew those plans. My dad's plans were pretty sketchy. And I drew those plans when I was a senior in high school. I took drafting my whole life.
Wow.
And so Arlo Schroeder built the first little Toot, and when Dad passed away, you know, Arlo kind of took me under his wing, and I wish I could show you at home the prop I did for him. The prop says Hawkshaw 2 on it in memory of Arlo Schroeder. So it's gonna be cool. And it's painted up like a Curtis Hawk P6E with the claws on the wheel pants and everything.
So is there somewhere that people can actually see some of your pictures and a little bit of history about everything we're talking about? There's a website?
I have a website. It's called littletootbiplane.com, all one word.
I'll put that in the description below so you can actually go check it out. I think you've got tons of photos and a bunch of information in there that people can look at.
You can spend hours on that. I think it's got 136 pages.
Wow.
To the website.
Yeah.
It keeps my sister Joy busy. The website was designed and built by Lawrence Germain.
Okay.
We call him LJ, and he did a fabulous job on the website. And then Lawrence moved on, and my sister took it over. So it's quite a website.
Okay. So Tommy, it's been really great talking with you. There's a whole lot of information about you, and I know we can have this video go on forever. So if you want to learn more about Tommy and Big Toot, Little Toot, and a little bit of history with his RC planes, please visit his channel. And again, I'll have his link below. So what do you think?
Hey, I've enjoyed it. You did ask me one question, though, how other people could get involved in RC modeling. And I would say that don't just go buy a foam airplane and go out and try to fly it without somebody helping you. Find somebody, go to the hobby shop, find somebody that does RC modeling, and I guarantee you there are people out here that'll help every young man learn how to fly, probably get a simulator and learn how to fly on a simulator before you spend your money and go put an airplane into the ground and be so disenchanted that this wasn't fun because you tore the airplane up. So there's a lot of people out there, like myself, with Alex Vanover, who now is a world champion. I helped him when he was a little boy. And also, Mike, I'd like to thank you for coming out and visiting Little Toot, and I'd like to ask your subscribers and your unsubscribers to subscribe to your channel, because I think what you're doing is a real great thing for model aviation, and I just can't thank you enough for coming out here and visiting me and Big Toot.
Awesome. So here you go. I got to actually come out and visit with a real pilot, RC pilot. So we'll see you next time on this channel, and we'll either be at a hangar or at an event. So thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.